It's so great to be able to be here with you this morning. Happy Friday. Great day to be. And it's a beautiful Friday. It's a beautiful weekend ahead of us, I believe. So it's really just a great day to be able to share this with you, share this time with you. And I really appreciate you all being here with me this morning. I know you didn't really have a choice, but thank you anyway. So as you heard a little bit about myself, I have a lot of different roles in my life. I am a youth pastor over at Grace Community Church just down the road in Chalfont. I also am a social worker working in an agency that works with individuals dealing with mental health challenges. Probably what you will remember me most for, though, is that I'm the husband of everybody's favorite chemistry. But we're going to talk this morning a little bit about some pretty serious stuff. But as much as you'll be hearing from me this morning, I want to hear from you a little bit as well, and I want you to be able to hear from each other. So we're going to do that. We're going to try this. This is a little bit of a newer piece of technology that I'm going to try today. We'll see. You guys get to be the guinea pigs. But if you have a smartphone with you this morning, I'm actually going to ask you to take it out. You know, it probably goes against everything that you've been taught and told at school and in chapel. But I'm going to trust you that you have the ability to use it appropriately this morning and use it for what we're going to use it for, and try your hardest to stay off of texting and other social media and things like that. But I'm going to actually be throwing some questions out there to you, and you're going to use your smartphones to be able to send some answers back, and you're going to get to see how some of you and the rest of your classmates feel about some of the issues that we're going to be talking about today. If you don't have a smartphone here with you this morning, I'm sorry, we are. That is sort of the limits of our technology. But if you do, go ahead and take it out. What I'm going to ask you to do is open up your browser. We're going to get a little bit of practice. I'm going to ask you to open up your browser and go to that site, the etc.ch. It is case sensitive, so if it's a capital letter, make sure you use a capital letter. Or if you're really cool and you have a QR code scanner on your phone, you can shoot it up there in the QR code, and that'll bring you to the site. Or if you want to just be simple and enter in that site through your browser. And what you should get is something that says something like waiting for poll to begin, things like that. We're going to get a little bit of practice utilizing this morning. So I'm going to throw some questions out there to you right now to give you the opportunity to vote. I'm just going to get a little bit of practice with this crowd participation piece of what we're going to be doing here this morning. So, first question is, would you rather have one wish granted now or 10 wishes granted in 10 years? Go ahead and select your option and vote. All right. It is working right now. So, I'm always, I've asked this question. I used to use a different program to do this. And I've asked this question a number of times in different audiences. I'm always so impressed by how many of you have the ability to delay gratification and wait for those 10 wishes granted in 10 years. However, those of you voting for one wish granted now, I probably should have specified you're not allowed to wish for more wishes. There was somebody back there that they could game the system and all right, next question. Would you rather have the ability to be invisible or the ability to fly? That should show up on your screen. Would you rather have the ability to be invisible or the ability to fly? Wow, not even. All right. I worry about if you chose invisible, just this way right here. Everybody look around. These are the people that you need to worry about. Because what are they going to do when they're invisible? Like sneak in and watch a screen, things like that. All right, next question. This is the last of our practice round. Would you rather be 3 feet taller than you are right now, or 3 feet shorter than you are right now? Taller than you are right now. Leave that browser window hear a little bit more. I'll get to hear a little bit more from you. You'll get to hear a little bit more from each other in a little bit. So, there's a phrase that has been pretty popular for quite some time. And I see it a lot. I see it kind of getting bounced around on social media. Sometimes it shows up in the form of a hashtag. Excuse me. Sometimes it shows up just in terms of a phrase that accompanies maybe a funny image or some description of a circumstance or a situation in your life. And that phrase is this. You probably have heard it. The struggle is real. Struggle is real. Who's used that at some point or something that's been going on in your life? I see like 10 different hands on usually we use this, and we're not usually describing something that's really all that serious in our life. It's usually something that we're making a joke out of, or something that we would call a first world problem, something that's not really a struggle, but we're putting it out there as a struggle to be a little bit humorous. Something like Starbucks running out of unicorn frappuccinos, or somebody posting a spoiler online to one of our favorite TV shows and we haven't had the opportunity to watch it yet. That's the worst. Don't do that. But it's usually not something that we're really feeling all that serious about. Kind of funny thing happened to me this morning though, as I was putting this time together, I knew I was going to be sharing, and completely independently of me kind of setting this message, my son comes downstairs this morning. He says, "Dad, check out my new t-shirt." And check out, so I had to take a picture of him because I knew what I was talking about. And this is my son, Owen. He's over at the elementary and middle school campus, and I don't know if you can make out his shirt. It's a T-Rex trying to eat pizza, and his shirt says, "The struggle is real." I thought that's just so appropriate for this morning, and I want an adult size of that shirt. So any jokes involving T-Rexes, I just think it's funny. But as I mentioned, I'm a youth pastor. In addition to that, I've worked the past 15 plus years in the world of mental health. A lot of those years I have spent working with people in some pretty serious crisis situations. And I know, I'm well aware, that you here at Doc have suffered a very tremendous loss. One of the things I've done quite a bit over the years is come into schools like this and talk to groups of students like you about the issue of suicide, about the issues of mental health. And one of the things that I typically have to do first when I start this conversation is sort of convince people that these are issues. Convince people that this is something that really may impact your world. But you all know that better than I wish you did. And I just want to express my deepest sorrow for that. But when we talk about mental health, it's important for us to be really clear about what it is that we're really talking about. Because when we talk about mental health, we might get some different images and things in our mind. So it's really important for us to be clear what we're talking about. When we talk about mental health, we might think of somebody in a hospital somewhere, or somebody, we might think of images of people who are crazy or insane, or things that we see on TV. But in reality, when we're talking about issues of mental health, when we're talking about mental health, just to put it in the simplest terms possible, mental health is what is your level of well-being in regards to your thoughts and feelings about yourself, your relationships, and the world around you. We all experience mental health, just like we all experience physical health. And when we are physically not doing well, we do something about that. When we're physically not doing well, we take some proactive steps to make sure that we start taking care of ourselves. We might go to the doctor. We might get some medicine, some antibiotics. We might just rest and maybe not come to school or not come to work for a day and just rest and be able to recuperate. And there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with somebody, like if somebody were to say, I had strep throat, I was out of school for a couple of days, nobody would think anything of that. But when it comes to issues of mental health and we need some level of support when we're struggling emotionally or mentally, there becomes this level of shame and stigma attached to it. But there are times when we are physically not doing well, And there are going to be times in our lives when we are mentally and emotionally not really well. But we don't see it that way most of the time. And the world doesn't really see it that way most of the time. When we talk about issues of mental health, most of us usually live within one of two bubbles that I like to call them. The first bubble that we tend to live in is this. And it's this belief that mental health struggles couldn't or should not happen in my life because, fill in the blank. There's a wide variety of reasons that you might put in that blank there. Mental health struggles should not affect me because I'm a Christian. We say that a lot of the time. Mental health struggles should not affect me because my life is going pretty well. Mental health struggles shouldn't affect me because my family is okay. Mental health struggles shouldn't affect me because I go to a Christian school and I go to church and I pray and I do these things. I'm faithful in my relationship with God, so mental health struggles shouldn't affect me. But the reality is that's just not true. You know that some of the biggest heroes of our faith came to some pretty dark places in their lives? People that we would put in what we would call the Faith Hall of Fame. Let's have a look at some of them. Moses. There's Moses speaking. He says, I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you're going to treat me, please go ahead and kill me. If I have found favor in your eyes, then do not let me face ruin. Moses, author of the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Moses, leading the people out of slavery in Egypt, comes to this point in his life where he's asking God to kill him. Elijah, from 1 Kings 19. Elijah was afraid and ran for his life when he came to Beersheba in Judah. He left his servant there while he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness. He came to a broom bush, sat down under it, and prayed that he might die. I've had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. Elijah, one of the greatest prophets of all time, accomplished amazing things for God. Comes to this point in his life where he sits himself down and prays that God would just let him die. Moving on to the New Testament, the Apostle Paul. 2 Corinthians, he says this, we don't want you to be uninformed, brothers and sisters, about the troubles we experienced in the province of Asia. We were under great pressure, far beyond our ability to endure, so that we despaired of life itself. The Apostle Paul, writer of a huge chunk of the New Testament, brought the gospel to the Gentile people, despaired of life itself. If these people came to points in their lives where they struggled to this point, there is no reason to believe that we would be immune to mental health struggles simply because, in fact, being followers of Christ in the world today sometimes means that we have more struggles than other people. The second bubble that we might find ourselves in is this. I'm all alone in my struggle. There are some of you here this morning that are struggling. There are some of you here this morning that are having a difficult time, whether it's mentally, whether it's emotionally, whether it's physically. And you might be here this morning thinking, nobody is struggling. Many of you, and you look around and you get this feeling like everyone's living this perfect life, everyone has it easy, everyone's kind of seems to just be walking through life without a care in the world. You feel alone. And I can stand up here and I can give you statistics like 1 in 4 people your age struggle with a mental illness. So if I were to line you all up around the room and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, one in each of that group of 4 in here would be struggling with a mental illness. And I could say things like, I could tell you about how suicide is the second leading cause of death in our area for people your age. But still, that doesn't really make you feel like, I'm not really alone. So let's get a sense of how you and those around you feel. So you can go ahead and take out your phones again. And this is the last question we're going to advance really quick to the next one. Have you ever felt sad or anxious to the point point where basic, everyday tasks were difficult for you? Have a look at those numbers popping up there on the screen. 75% of you, 3 out of 4, have come to a point in your life where you've been sad or anxious to the point where even just basic, everyday tasks. And then maybe another 10% of you down there, maybe. It's almost 9 out of 10 of you are saying that at some point in your life you've been so sad or so anxious that even basic everyday tasks were difficult. Now, as I throw these questions out there, I just want to let you know these are anonymous. I don't get information on who you are, I don't get your phone number, anything like that. As long as you don't show your phone to the person next to you, nobody is going to know what it is that how you're responding to these questions. I'll throw the next question out there to you. Have you ever had thoughts of possibly ending your own life? Yes, no, or maybe? See, we're creeping up on 50% of the people in that, either that yes or maybe category. So if you're here this morning and you're struggling and you're not sure and you're feeling like nobody else really is, nobody is struggling in ways like I'm struggling. Almost half of the people in this room have struggled at some point in their life where they've wondered whether or not it might be better if they were not around. Last question I want to put out there to you, and this is an important one. If you were struggling or had thoughts of suicide, and you can check more than one option on this one, so you can check multiple things if you want, who would you go to? Who would you go talk to? Who would you bring that up to? As I'm watching these come in, this is actually the first time I've put this question out there to the audience. So as I'm watching these come in, I'm glad to see that many of you have people that you identify as people that would be a support to you. A parent and a friend, school counselor, pastor, or other connection, but there's 20% of you here who are saying no to me. There's 1 in 5 of you here this morning that are saying, if I were struggling, I wouldn't tell anyone. And I need to tell you that you need to reach out. I know it's scary. I know it feels dangerous. I know it feels like you're putting yourself out there on a limb. But please, please, please know that there are people around you that love you and want to care for you and want to support you. Please go to a trusted adult if you're somebody that's struggling. And those of you that selected friend, I'm happy that you have friends that you feel like supporting you. I think you should definitely go to your friends and let them know how you're doing. But your friend who's like, similar age, that you cannot be your sole source of support when you're struggling to the point like the things we're talking about this morning. You need to also include a trusted adult in those categories. And that's whether that's a parent, whether that's a school counselor here, or a teacher, or a parent of a friend of yours. You need to make sure that you are going to a trusted adult. Because there is help. How you are feeling right now does not have to be the way that you are feeling forever. And there is help. And there are people that love you and care about you. And I do also want to throw out there to you another resource. And I know you met some of these people here a while back. This is from Montgomery County Global Crisis. These are people that are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to help you. And it's not just suicide, but any type of crisis situation you might be facing when you are in need of some immediate help. And they're not people that come out of your house and want to cut you off somewhere. They're people that basically just want to figure out what can help look like for you and how do we go about getting you connected to that help. So write this number down, put it in your phones. If you don't feel like you need it for yourself, save it for somebody else that you might come in contact with that might be in need of help. And if somebody is coming to you and expressing that they're struggling in this way, help them get connected to the help that they need. Take them to a trusted adult that they can talk to that's going to make sure that your friend gets connected to the support and help that they need. But in addition to the people that we have around us, we who are here who are followers of Christ also have a very unique relationship that others in the world simply don't have. We have a God that loves us and desires to work in us and through us as well. And we saw what Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians a little bit earlier. I want to show you the next couple of verses in that passage where Paul writes, indeed, and we talk about the sparing of his own life because of the struggles he was facing. He writes the next couple of verses, indeed, we felt that we received the sentence of death. But this happened, that we might not rely